I still remember the night my mother said it, her voice sharp, her eyes firm. She's pregnant now, she told me, and she needs her own place. Your country house will do. We'll sell it for her apartment. I sat at the table, silent. The way she said it wasn't a suggestion, it was a decree. My father didn't argue, he just stared at me, waiting for compliance. My sister, hand resting dramatically on her stomach, looked away as if ashamed, though I knew she wasn't. That house wasn't just wood and walls, it was mine, my only inheritance from my grandfather, the one man who'd ever seen me, the one man who hadn't treated me as disposable. And they wanted to trade it for her? At first, I tried to tell myself it was just talk, but the whispers grew. Calls with realtors, papers on the counter, my mother's hushed excitement. And one night, I caught my father measuring the living room, running his hand along the walls like he already owned the place. That was when the truth sank in. They weren't asking, they were taking. The betrayal burned, but I didn't lash out. No screaming, no pleading. I had learned long ago that emotions fed them power. Instead, I grew quiet, calculating. I started digging through old records, ownership papers, deeds, every dusty file my grandfather had left me. And with every page, my mind sharpened. The house was fully in my name, no joint claim, no loophole for them to exploit, which meant one thing. Their plan depended on my silence. They thought I was weak. They thought I'd give in. They thought wrong. The plan formed piece by piece. First, I called a buyer, a man my parents feared, though they never said his name out loud. A retired colonel turned developer, sharp, ruthless, and very protective of what was his. He had been circling the property for years, waiting for me to sell. So when I called, he didn't hesitate. Cash, immediate transfer, ironclad contract. By the end of the week, the deed was gone from my hands, tucked safely into his vault of assets. I signed without a word to my family, without a hint of hesitation. And then I waited. 2 weeks later, my father made his move. It was late evening when my phone rang, the caretaker of the country house. His voice was shaky. "Your father, he's here. He broke in." I didn't rush. I didn't even speak. I simply hung up and let the moment stretch. Minutes later, another call, this time from the colonel's man. Cold, calm. "We've got him." By the time I arrived, the scene was already painted. My father stood in the living room of what he thought was still mine, his face red, veins bulging, caught like a thief. And across from him, the colonel himself, impeccably dressed, hands folded behind his back, eyes locked on my father with the quiet fury of a man whose territory had been violated. The silence was suffocating. Finally, the colonel spoke. "This house isn't your son's anymore." His voice was low, steady. "It's mine. You broke into my property." My father's face drained of color. That was when I stepped inside. Calm, controlled. "Dad," I said softly, "what are you doing here?" His mouth opened, but no words came. My mother, beside him, trembled. My sister clutched her stomach, pale. I let the silence strangle them before I added, "I sold it, weeks ago." Their heads snapped toward me, eyes wide, betrayed not by the sale, but by the fact they hadn't seen it coming. The colonel turned his gaze to them slowly. "You see, I don't tolerate thieves." It was a masterpiece of timing. Every step, every choice had led to this. My parents, once so sure they controlled me, now standing small in front of a man who had no mercy for liars. The colonel didn't press charges, not yet. He didn't need to. The threat was enough. His presence was enough. My parents left that night shaken, stripped of their illusion of power. And me? I stood in the shadows, watching the empire they tried to build on my inheritance crumble in their hands. Afterward, they avoided the subject of the house. My mother never mentioned apartments again. My father never dared raise his voice. My sister, for once, stopped looking at me as if I owed her the world. They finally understood. I wasn't their pawn. I was the one moving the pieces. Now, when I think back, I don't feel guilt. I don't feel pity. I feel free. Because sometimes revenge isn't loud. It isn't violent. It's silent, calculated, precise. And the sweetest part isn't watching them fall. It's making sure they know I was the one who cut the ground from beneath them, while smiling as if it had been inevitable all along.